Hello, welcome. In today's video we are going to compare head to head the Leica Summicron 50mm f2 version 5 to the Light Lens Lab 50mm f2 ELCAN, which is like a replica of the Leica lens. This video will give you all the information that you need for both lenses if you're on the market and can't decide which lens to get, and then stay tuned and I'll do some side-by-side photos, pixel peeping, and we can see which of these two lenses is the best in the test. Spoiler alert, the results are not what I expected, so stay tuned. Hey guys, Matt here from MrLife.com. First of all, a huge thanks to my sponsors, my amazing patrons. Links to more content below. First thing you notice, the size difference is quite dramatic, which is the reason why I bought this lens. I've actually got two. I'll show you the second one in a second. Second thing you probably notice, for any of you using screw mount, the Light Lens Lab lens comes in screw mount and M mount. So obviously that's a benefit if you use screw mount lenses and you can't use this lens. So other than the size, what can I show you? Well, first thing you can notice is the Light Lens Lab lens has a focus tab and an aperture tab actually, whereas the Leica Summicron doesn't have any tabs. The Summicron V5 does have the pull-out hood, like so, which is a nice feature. For those of you new to Leica, both lenses have a maximum aperture of f2, and the word Summicron means f2. Both lenses are 39mm filter thread, which makes it really easy for filters. That's kind of a standardish Leica size. And also, if you buy the screw mount version, of course you can fit it to Leica Barnett cameras, but you can also just use a M adapter ring like that and then convert it onto your M11 or whatever camera that you're using. I've actually got three Summicron lenses. Here's the third one I own. This is the Summicron DR. You can see here that's where the goggles fit on that bracket. And the goggles kind of press that little button and that allows you to close focus. I have done videos on this lens before and that has the advantage of going to around 0.45 meters, where both of these lenses only focus as close as 0.7 meters. I compared these two lenses before. I can link the video at the end for the first Summicron video that I did, and I have done a video on the Light Lens Lab ELCAN, which is what this is called, in a previous video, but this I really wanted to see how the ELCAN compares to the Summicron 50mm f2 version 5. So if I move this to one side, because we're not going to look at that today. Quick backstory, I bought the ELCAN because I wanted the smallest 50mm lens I could find for my Leica M3. I'll quickly show you, I've got a second copy of my M3 there. This has actually got the hood on from the, bring that in, the hood that you can see is not from this lens, the hood is actually from the Light Lens Lab 35 f2 8 element lens. I've done a video on that lens too. But as you can see, these lenses are absolutely tiny, and that's why I love them so much. I can put some links below to Light Lens Lab if you're new to Light Lens Lab. Just before we get on to the 50s, if you didn't see my last video, the last video was on the brand new EBOOK 35 1.4. But just look at the size difference of the little ELCAN, the little Light Lens Lab 8 element compared to the EBOOK. It's pretty dramatic. Anyway, see that lens, see that video if you want to see more on that one. Just quickly, another thing people often ask me is, how does the Summicron compare to the Summilux? When I first got into the Leica system with my Leica M9, one of the first Leica lenses that I bought was the Leica Summicron 50mm f2 version 5, this one. I then bought the Summilux 50mm f1.4 spherical. See, it's a little bit bashed up, but I got it at a cheaper price. I then only used the Summilux and I completely stopped using the Summicron, so I sold the Summicron. Then about 8 years later I rebought this Summicron because I wanted something smaller than the Summilux. But then I then bought the ELCAN, and so now I'm trying to decide, do I actually need the Summicron or shall I just keep the Summilux so when I need to shoot at 1.4 and use a Summicron for when I need an f2 and smallest possible setup. The determining factor is how these two lenses compare. So let's look at the image quality next. Okay, first vignetting. From my testing, the vignetting is similar on both lenses, gone more or less by f4. Here's a real world example, and you can't see much in the way of vignetting, I think, by f4 onwards. Both lenses produce nice bokeh balls, round in the centre, more catite at the edges, especially with the ELCAN. Here's some real world examples from both lenses. Lens flare. Both lenses will flare. The reason I sold the Summicron in the first place and kept the Summer Lux is because, as you can see from these real world examples, 10 years ago this lens does flare quite easily. Colours. The Leica Summicron has more saturated colours than the ELCAN, as you can see from these real world tests that I shot in Valencia. If you prefer colours, you'll probably prefer the Summicron. Okay, before we get into sharpness, these are real world examples. So I've shot both lenses quite extensively on film and digital. These are shot on the first Leica Summicron version 5. And next, these are shot with the Light Lens Lab ELCAN 50mm f2. These photos are a mix of film and digital, and I can link the full videos at the end if you want to see more sample photos and more details about each lens. Next, sharpness. So this is a big one for many of us, including myself, when I do the pixel peeping. So to my amazement, the Summicron is a lot sharper than the ELCAN, both wide open and stopping down, both in the centre and at the edges. So that's a crop of the photo you just saw with the Summicron on the left, and you can see in the eyes it's much sharper. Let's look at the corners. The corners are much softer on the ELCAN compared to the Summicron. Let's look at a few more examples just to make sure I didn't miss my focus. So again, same conditions. You can see the higher sharpness and contrast and colours from the Summicron and the mushy corners from the ELCAN. Again, you can see the mushy corners there. And one more third example, just to double check, this really amazed me. So first you can see the glow, the extra like vintage glow from the ELCAN, which makes sense because it's based on an earlier Leica lens. The ELCAN is clearly softer till around f8. By f8 you should get similar sharpness, although the Summicron will have more contrast and more saturation. Okay, so what's the verdict? I was actually pretty shocked with that. I must admit I've never done exact side-by-side testing of these two lenses before. I've used both lenses for kind of real world use, but never kind of pixel peeps. For real world use, I really love the Light Lens Lab 8 element, partly because I can always carry it because it's so small, which is like a massive tick in the box for me. And also for portraits, I find it a perfect balance of sharp enough and kind of soft corners and nice rendering in the corners. That being said, after seeing the photos shot with the Summicron M50mm f2 Vision 5, clearly this is a better lens in terms of better corrected, higher saturation, higher contrast, sharper in the centre and at the edges, less chromatic aberration, probably slightly less vignetting, and overall just a better corrected lens. So if you're buying into Leica system to get the best possible image quality, I'd stick with the Leica brand in this instance. But do bear in mind that the ELCAN is not based on a replica of a modern Summicron lens. It's actually based on the ELCAN military version of the Summicron, which is a much older lens. So this is designed to look old, whereas this is designed to look modern. So if you prefer a more vintage rendering to give your digital sensor a bit more life, I would go for the ELCAN. So I can put a link below if you want. You can get it in black, silver, various cool different finishes. I prefer the focus tab on the ELCAN, I prefer the size of the ELCAN, I prefer the image quality for portraits on the ELCAN. But if you want the best possible image quality, spend a little bit more money and get the Vision 5. I'll try and do more of these videos, lens A versus lens B, because if you're like me, sometimes you just wish someone had made a video so you know which lens to buy if you're on the market and you kind of can't decide between two different lenses. Thanks for watching, and please hit like if you enjoyed this video. Bye.